and they were playing with a Thorn player named Satyr, who I'd never heard of before last week, but boy did he impress. He looked incredibly good on that Thorn and really helped them almost beat Gatekeepers. Now, of course, Buse is back this week, so Weedem Boy is going to be playing with a slightly different roster, but after their performance last week, I have really high hopes for these guys.
Impact came in probably one of the most one of the higher toted teams, right? They came
the
in,
highest toted
the highest toted team, right? They were expected to be top seed, expected to be the best. We've seen them perform, but I think it's a blanket across the BPL. I think everyone's fallen a little bit short.
Yeah, of course. Impact, they lost their first game of the season, actually, against Gatekeepers, which, you know, Gatekeepers is a very formidable team, so it wasn't that shocking. But still, this team is expected to be the favorite, and they're expected not to lose a game. The fact that they did, very, very concerning, and now they're playing against Weedem Boys. They absolutely need to show up and make a statement if they want to take first seed in this group.
So Freya Ulrich is a combo that a comp that we saw them playing with early on. I think, was that last week they played with that?
Yes.
Freya Ulrich. So we spoke a little about it in North America, and I'd like to bring the conversation to the other side of the sea and speak about it with the new viewers we have today. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Thanks for joining us. Oh man, my eyes just got real dry. What just happened?
I don't know. Are you dying?
I think so.
Don't die. I need you.
Oh God. All right, this might be a one-man show soon.
Oh no.
Oh, I think so. This happens all the time. Something gets caught in my eye. So before we get into the draft, or as we get into the draft, we'll just chat about it. I've kind of spoken to you about my meh on Freya. I mean, again, this is all my personal opinion.
Yes.
Obviously, she's good, or we wouldn't see her in the team compositions. But I think in general, with the meta going more towards combo-based, I think Freya will have a harder and harder time excelling. People with raw skill, I think, will always have a good time with her.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I think it's like, so there is more than just one popular comp right now. Of course, combo comps are incredibly popular and gaining traction with the Rook gaining popularity in both America and Europe. But I think the Freya certainly has a place. She's more of an answer instead of like a setup. She like supports your team playing in this very raw, like aggressive play style instead of just your team going in all at once and looking for coordinated bursts. Freya, she promotes chaos, and she has great answers to those setup comps since she has so many iframes and so many shields. So she's more of like a counter rather than like a part of that meta. She's kind of like the anti-meta of the combo comps.
Yeah, and I guess that's fair. I guess I have a personal vendetta against anti-metas or things that are just there to rustle some feathers. As fun as it can be, I guess it's just a playstyle that I don't particularly enjoy playing. It's still fun to watch because Freya, again, could just be an absolute monster.
Yes.
She's the 1v1 queen.
Yeah.
It's her and Shifu.
If you've ever found yourself in Ormond Day against a Freya in a 1v1, you know what Freya can do.
If you win that game, she must have DC'd.
If you win that game, you're a legend.
Yeah.
Sign up for Rising Stars.
Yeah. And just not even sign up for Rising Stars. We'll just put you right here in the BPL because clearly you're a god. And just to, you know, talking about comps that do combo-based things.
Right.
Obviously, it's getting more and more popular. People are getting better with timing, and people are learning about team compositions. I mean, pretty obvious thing is Xander came out. Everyone's like, oh, he's garbage. So far from the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I hope everybody feels really stupid, you know?
Yeah.
I hope the whole competitive scene's like, man, we are just... And when I saw that, I kind of was hoping that was a small awakening call for everyone that feels like they know what's best. This game is still young, and there's still so many interactions that we do not know. And every champion's like, he's crap tier. That's a garbage champion. I'm like, you guys know that for like a month, you all said Xander was trash, and now he has the highest win rate than anyone in the game, literally. Like, how dare you, and how dare you not feel shame? How dare you not feel shame after that? You should feel a little bit of shame.
I don't know how we got here, but now Findable Carpet lecturing the Twitch
I'm on a
viewers.
small rant. I know. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm terrible at Xander, so I shouldn't even
I'm really
talk
bad
about
at Xander,
I'm
too.
so
My
bad.
God. I'll stick to his sister.
All right, so beginning with the draft, they have finally picked the first one. We have Lucy and Iva.
Yes.
Iva, for a while, she was super popular. Now she seems to be a situational pick, but I like watching her play.
Yeah, I like the Iva pick for Weedem Boys as well. It's good against the Lucy, so this first like double blind pick worked out in the favor of Weedem Boys. Of course, there's the Taser, which can cleanse off the barrier, which is very important for Lucy. If you are able to cleanse off that 50 HP shield, sometimes you can just catch her and deal a ton of damage in an instant. Out of Weedem Boys up next, I expect to see either a Raigon or a Freya. Those seem to be Bu's comfort picks, though after their success last week, I think it's also likely that they'll play a Thorn. I think it's likely Bu's will transition over. It's interesting. So we got the Lucy meta over in Europe.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she's not even touched in North America outside of the occasional pick from Freak. Very interested to see how these teams play. I think the Jumong is a strong pick for impact. Not only is the Rain of Arrows very good against the Lucy because she is not very mobile, but it's Dizzler on the Jumong. Dizzler is probably the best Jumong player in the world. I would say that title used to go to a verse, but Dizzler has absolutely started popping off on this character.
There's the Raigon and a Bako for impact. And just I want to talk a little bit about it because you brought it up and it kind of sparked a thought in my brain. So Lucy, a lot more popular in Europe.
Yes.
Because, in my opinion, because the play is a good deal slower.
Absolutely.
In North America, if you pick Lucy, you
get ran at.
You better be on your toes because they are not going to slow down. And this is why I'm absolutely beside myself when I talk about LAN. Because when we finally get to watch these two regions go toe-to-toe, like for real, with no disadvantages, what is going to be better? Is it going to be the people that can do the combos and, like, within like the half second of you making a mistake because North America is just right there up on top of you? Sometimes they land combos, sometimes they don't. Or is it a team that's trying to methodically put you in a bad place until they can finally get the kill? Yeah. It's going to be super exciting. But with these team comps, again, Raigon and Bako, nah, it really depends.
How do you think that goes as a Bako player?
I don't really mind it. I actually kind of like Raigon. There's a lot of things that my bulwark can deal with. It really helps negate that counter parry. If he tries to build the stun after the parry, which Raigons tend to do in certain situations. Honestly, if like he's around 3 of my teammates and I've got bulwark up, I just put it up, he has to cancel. Right. So even if I don't get the stun back on him, I've still slowed him down and I've still stopped that damage and that stun. Even if it's just a big like, do it, I dare you punk kind of move. His space I can get, his M2 I can get, plus when I reflect it, I get some heals off of him. I actually enjoy going to Raigons, but a really good Raigon is not fun for anybody. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the points you just made kind of allude to how we see Bako. We talk about how Bako is a team-oriented melee. We have characters like Freya who go off and do their own thing and try to create pressure. I expect to see this Bako, Vague, playing aggressively, but of course putting a large focus on his allies, being there for his allies when Buse tries to aggress onto them, having that bulwark available, and of course that war shout. Very high value. The Bako pick, I think, is very strong here. So a player just got a little disconnected. They're trying to reconnect, so we're going to chat a little more with you guys. Speaking of these team comps, I mean, I think if I were that Bako on Impact, happy days. Happy days? I mean, you got a Lucy and a Raigon. I'm okay with Raigon. Lucy is a Bako's dream, like a Bako's dream. Yeah. It doesn't get much better than going into a Lucy. It's the only, I mean, she can try and clarity you away, but if you build into a kit where you either have speed bulwark, you have the rampage speed, or you have the long distancy, it's just it's only going to slow you down for a second. Yeah. And then it's just a big mind game of her trying to panic you. That's what I wanted to say, and you trying to bulwark. Like, it's just a super fun mini game. It's like, are you going to get me? If I get you, you're actually going to die. If you get me, you're just going to die later. Yep. It's really my thought process. So Lucy's just constantly trying to not die to Bako. Yeah. The whole game. But luckily in threes, it's not always as linear. Sure. Because Bako really needs to stick with his team. Yeah, it's not like 2v2 where you find yourself splitting into 1v1s often. Yeah. And in this 3v3 scenario, there's an Iva there as well. That Zap Shield with the knockback also going to be very nice for the Lucy against the Bako. Because like you mentioned, that's not an easy matchup. Even if you win that ever-important mix-up of the Panic Flask versus Bulwark, you're still in a bit of trouble as Bako can just re-engage onto you. So this Iva pick going to be very key in helping Lorio survive on the Lucy. I'm also very concerned for the side of Impact. Of course, they have a Lucy themselves, and they have a Buse Raigon going against them. Yeah. And Raigon incredibly strong versus the Lucy, simply because of the amount of stick he has. So if he is able to make it on there, and Dizzler isn't able to put out enough damage on the Jumong to make it worth it for him to engage, then the side of Impact are going to have a very, very rough time. Jumong should have some fun from a distance. I think they're going to have a pretty good time just poking around. Going into a Lucy that has no role, she just has to barrier and stand there inside of her root while arrows just come falling down on top of her. And then the interactions of Lucy, I think Iva Bako is what I wouldn't like. Not a big fan of going against any Iva, to be honest. Yeah. Between her speed shield, her cleanse, her Zap, it's all just frustrating to deal with. Especially if she gets U-turn, which is kind of hit or miss. We used to never see it, then we kind of saw it all the time. Now I don't even really know. I don't see enough Ivos to know if the competitive scene picks U-turn very often, do they? It depends on the player. Yeah. I think also depends on what you're up against. Yeah, absolutely. It'll probably help. In this composition, she might want to show up and poke, but she probably want to show up and stay there because she's going against a Jumong and a Lucy. Jumong's just going to keep spacing around. So showing up and then leaving again is not going to get you a whole lot of value. Right. But Raigon in Europe, we spoke in week 1. We saw a lot of Raigons in North America. We weren't too happy about it. I didn't see a lot of great value out of it. It just felt like they were picking it because it was the not as thinky choice. It's like, oh, I know Rygon's going to do a pretty good job here.
Are you subtly blaming North America?
No, no, no. But
I'm just kidding.
I mean, that happens. I mean, same with like a little bit. I don't want to say like Freya or Shifu, but sometimes like you get to do your single job,
right? And
you don't really have to track your teammates as much as when you're playing something that is much more combo based. Combo based, you have to track all 5.
Right.
If you're just a kind of like a Freya who's just there to mess things up, you're just tracking your enemies. And at that point, you're probably just tracking 1, maybe 2, because you're really just trying to put pressure on that 1 so that they can either do their damage or do the heals, depending on which one you find. So I don't know. I don't mean to say not as thinky, but kinda.
No, I feel you, yeah. I went on record as saying that in Europe, the Rygon looked much better than in North America. So I think, and Buse was actually the player I was referring to when I made that statement.
Yeah.
So Buse on the Rygon is an incredibly good player. I'm excited to watch him after seeing Fireblaze perform so well yesterday, because it will be very cool to compare how these two play and see whether or not Buse is going to be able to make it onto the backline of Impact, Godolph and Dizzler successfully, and have a good time. I think that's going to be the determining factor for this game, how Buse does in the backline.
The Lucy pick. Always exciting to see differing metas and differing regions.
I like the Battlerite build from Lorio as well. He has the Weakening Toxin on M1, of course, which negates 20% of incoming healing and 10% of damage output on the enemy that has Toxic on them. Very good against Lucy and Jumong, as they both do so much healing. And also, he has that extra heal on his M2. He definitely wants to play around his team, and he understands the damage output that Impact is going to be able to put out.
Is that reduced healing output or reduced healing input?
Input. So if you are a Lucy and you're trying to heal your boy Vague on the Bako, he will get 20% less healing if he has Toxic on him.
Okay, that'd actually be really good against Bako. He's got negligible sustain. All about them shields. All about them shields, but let's see it.
How do you feel about Bako on this map? There are lots of walls available. Do you think it'll make a big difference?
Not a huge difference. I think Bakos usually can make the most of what walls are in front of them. It's either just going to be easier or he just has to... Oh, that was actually kind of amazing.
That was kind of silly.
Traveling a lot of distance before that made contact.
Wow, Buse doing a great job being very disruptive, but the Rain of Arrows, they're now being dropped, and he gets no value out of his EXM1. He does, however, go back in, trying to create space for his team to get the orb, as they will.
Yeah, blue team got the orb, but Impact didn't take a lot of punishment during that, so they're just going to be down in energy, not in health right now. There's the war shout coming out, the incapacitate.
Oh, great.
Dizzler.
Great panic cancel by Godolph, but he's not going to hit the recast. A little bit unfortunate, but Impact, they're actually falling a little bit behind here, Carpet.
Oh, and there's a nice seismic cancel as well. Impact is falling behind, but not in a huge way. Oh, wasn't able to snag it. Now Bako really just wants to take down Buse, but he has to be careful. There's the barrier, gets the stun. We're going to see the parry come out very soon. No, the double R and the smack up. He's going to chase that as well. There's the parry, but Bako decides to join his teammate, incapacitate on Dizzler, gets clarity. Godov's got an ultimate. Who's he looking for? We actually don't know. So many targets.
Very nice jump by Vague to secure that over his team. Stole that out of the face of We Dem Boys, and the goo, it gets no value.
He wasn't expecting that zap speed onto Buse.
Oh no, we've split into this bad place, Carpet. You see down bottom, there is Vague against the Lucy, and he's starting to man up. And up top, without their healer, both Buse and Blood's Assassin are taking quite a bit of damage.
Oh no, that is exactly the worst thing Vague wants to see, a flamethrower into his bulwark. He's almost got an ultimate though. He sees Buse health. Yeah. He knows that's burstable. He's just waiting for that space bar. But he's also got to be worried about that zap speed. Would make him a slightly harder target to hit. Buse building the Battlerite that lets him launch into anyone that he hits into the air. Here's the ultimate, just going for orb instead.
Yeah, he nabs the Lucy too, and with it, Lorio's burst down to about half HP. Blood's doing no better, and he's hard engaging on Dizzler. Dizzler's just outputting so much damage here, Carpet, and now the goo gonna be dropped as well. Things quickly falling apart for We Dem Boys.
Panic, there's the parry. It's not gonna keep him alive for much longer. Gets clarity into the goo as well, which is still barely dissipating. And there goes Lucy. And after losing the 2 first orbs, Impact are still able to take it down. I mean, at that point they were only energy down. They weren't losing health. They were still in a good place. They were pretty much tied up. What was like 85% to 95% health.
Right. I think it came down to that moment where we saw Lorio face off against Vague in a 1v1. Lorio handily lost that 1v1 after a beautiful in-cap dodged the panic of the Lucy. And Buse and Blood's Assassin, in the meantime, were facing off against Godolph and Dizzler. You can't trade against a Jumong Lucy as Rygon Iva without your healer. So they had to rotate back down bottom, and after all of that time, just ended up taking so much damage.
Vague into Lorio. Lorio's been doing a great job of baiting out the bulwark with their panic, but then Baco just walks away. He's like, ah, screwed then.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this. I don't have a bulwark to deal with you anymore.
He's like, I don't need this in my life. Ooh.
Double shield. Actually going to help Baco quite a bit, but they're going to lose orb again. But look at the damage right now that Rygon has taken.
Yeah, certainly worth it for impact as the Rygon gets burst down to about half.
Vague trying to WSD out of as much damage as possible. Boost going in on Lucy. There's the parry. Gets smacked by Vague. Look at him just bouncing around.
Ooh, that nice double taser stun into panic, though, alleviates some of the pressure. And impact, they're going to lose a second orb. Oh, but the goo? Oh, the goo doesn't quite secure it.
But it still does quite a bit of damage now. Vague knows he can push in. He's got that goo to help out. Oh, no, he's got no more bulwark. He just has a shield. He has to E out of there. He lost a lot of health in that change.
Yeah, absolutely. A beautiful F press from Bloods gets a decent amount of damage into the Baco, but now up top, Buse is taking quite a lot himself. The Clarity Potion cleanses off the barrier, but once again, he's able to make it back towards mid, and We Dem Boys get an orb.
He's timing that so well. He only engages.
Oh, that Clarity!
That was dirty.
A sick double Petrify immediately cleansed off. Heads-up play from Godolph.
I think he was actually going to clear the Incapacitate that landed on the Dizzler, but he got pretty lucky that it also got the Petrify. Now we're going to see Vague again trying to push back. This time he sees the orb. Double Incapacitate. It's real quiet here.
Well, we'll see if he gets it. He has to use the Bulwark, and it looks like Vague is finally able to secure the orb. And up top, Buse is being handled.
The lethal injection actually broke that Incapacitate.
Oh, big taser right there.
Oh, and then Boots, you can see just the way that he's trying to move around. He gets rooted, he R's away, M2's away. So good with mobility on this Rygon. Dizzler looking mighty healthy. Boots has gone in, this is scary. The parry's down, the barrier's down. Oh no, he didn't actually see where that goo was.
And the counter goo, but Red gets the orb, so Godolph gets energy for the roll, and that's very unfortunate for We Dem Boys. That single last orb might have changed the course of this round.
Seeker's mark on just about everybody. Boost somehow still alive. The barrier's down, that's it. Now Baco knows this is his chance. Pushes him into the vortex. Is he stuck in there too long? Oh, and then he gets Clarity away as well. He will go down, the flamethrower's out. There's some energy for Iva. She's going to lose her support, and that's going to be the end of We Dem Boys for round number 2.
Really, really nice clarities from Godolph characterized that round. He had that nice double clarity on the Petrify like we talked about. He was going for a clarity on the Incap and then ended up getting very lucky, putting himself in a good situation. And that last clarity to secure the kill on Buse. He also had a few nice clarities that cleansed off the parries. So just overall, really nice play from Godolph. And that's not the most easy to understand ability in the game to use. He really understood when he needed to use that ability because he understood what his enemies wanted to do. Yeah. He perfectly read Buse on the Rygon and his parries and answered it perfectly.
And that's huge. Understanding just because Buse is there, is this parry really the best thing to Clarity right now? Or is there something better in the backline?
Yeah.
It has the barrier come down yet? Is that what I want to cleanse? Would I rather cleanse the parry? Well, how is my team playing? What do they have at their disposal? So many thoughts, so many decisions need to be made, but Buse now, he's actually gone on a little bit too far, I think. He's going to lose a lot of health here, down to half. He opts to stay in, but the panic, he's going to take so much, gets the parry off in time as it breaks. He has to space away. Baco really wants to try and punish, but he's playing smart, sticking with his team.
Wow, We Dem Boys have quickly found themselves at a 23% HP advantage as Buse sitting on only half HP and no energy. Now the Dragon Slayer narrowly whiffs Carpet.
Spell block onto Iva. Blood Assassin does have an ultimate, but so does Godov. There is the ultimate. She has to space away as Baco tries to come down and punish. Red team does secure the orb. There comes the goo from Lorio, and then Baco gets pushed right into it.
Oh, the answer though. The goo from Godolph gets a decent amount of damage, but now he's getting ran at by Buse. Buse understands he has no roll, but doesn't get quite a favorable trade.
Oh, no! Misses the ultimate. Vague wasn't able to get the final kill onto Iva, but it still forced enough movement to let his teammates clean up the mess. Now it's him and Lorio. Lucy Baco. Baco couldn't be happier right now as Rygon goes down. There it is.
Feels bad. Oh, feels so bad, Carpet.
Oh, my God.
Everything about that made me sad for Lorio and the Lucy. Nothing working out in his favor there.
That was actually pretty cool looking. Even though it was just a matter of time because Lucy was the last one alive. That was probably the most stylish way I've ever seen someone go down.
As a Lucy player, there's nothing that hurts more than throwing a Panic Flask into a Bulwark and then immediately eating a Dragon Slayer after it. That's really just adding insult to injury.
Impact now up 3-0, trying to make another clean sweep.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for him, too. They're playing absolutely marvelously against Buse's aggression, handling it perfectly.
Timing that panic just as the landing happens. That was actually really nice from Goddard. boos has gone in. He still has parry. There it is. 1R, 2Rs. Actually doesn't make contact in the second one. Barrier's down.
This is a very chaotic round, Carpet. Starting with the Iva space again, Boy is going to be able to get back and secure the orb, but it's still actually very equal in terms of raw HP.
It's all about the energy buildup.
And speaking of energy, check Lorio. He has that ultimate available, but he panics himself, accidentally puts himself out of the fight for a little while.
Look at the way boos is trying to engage, always landing that E first. Barrier's down. He finds Dizzler. Dizzler has to use a little bit of energy. There's the ultimate onto Rygon. boos actually uses the E to get out of there with the in cap onto Goddard. There's the clarity. Bako jumping with bravery to help protect Goddard. There's the panic, and he's going to deal even more damage on top of that. Rygon's lost some health. Boys has mid control, but they're actually a little bit lower in health. Oh, that could be the end of Dizzler. No, Bako goes in, but the in cap onto Goddard. He might just get bursted down by boos.
This is very favorable for Boys as they take another orb too. A double in cap comes out, and a little bit of damage going to come from Dizzler as the response, but still things are looking pretty good for the boys in blue.
This is actually huge for Bako right now. He's playing so well, keeping those back too. Oh my god, he actually might take out Rygon. The M2, he just got it charged up, and now Vague playing like a monster. Dizzler taking out Iva.
I don't have a vague idea how he pulled that off, but boy did he. He won that 1v2 handily against Lorio and boos, made it look like a cakewalk.
That was actually amazing.
Yeah, that was great play.
There was a really cool mind game there where Rygon started to queue up his in cap, knowing that Bako had Bulwark, and then canceled it. Bako didn't even flinch.
He knew.
He's like, you're not going to do it.
He made that read.
You're not going to do it, big boy.
Man, that's one of my favorite things about this game too, Carpet. That reads have such a high impact.
Yeah.
And the fact that Vague understood that the in cap was likely going to be canceled from boos, and he just went all in, and in that instance, it worked out for him marvelously.
1 round away from clean sweeping Boys. Impact trying to solidify that top spot in this group. Uh-oh. Bako took a lot. There's the barrier. He finds no value in that space, no bravery, no damage. Goddard is just standing there trying to ignore Rygon as much as possible, like an obnoxious child. Parry's now down, in cap on Bako. Oh, the stun, that was fat.
Yeah, that was a nice M2 from Dizzler, getting a decent amount of damage.
boos it alone. Oh, the barrier and the parry both happen at the same time. Blue might grab orb. Rygon breaks line of sight, smart of him. Dizzler dodges the E. Rygon goes back in. Shards taken by Bako.
Oh, no.
Oh, the deadly, oh my god, is that double deadly inject?
Yeah, a lot of damage coming out there.
Bako's a bit separated, more deadly injects. Goddard just spamming his EX abilities like no one's business. There's the parry, there's the ult from Iva into a double rain of arrows, forced to leave it. Incapacitate onto Dizzler, leaving him alone.
Oh, the Dragon Slayer, and it hits boos. Nice flick from Dizzler.
boos knows to go in though. He knows that he has Lorio in support. Lorio's got an ultimate. They're waiting for Bako to use all that mobility. There's the Bulwark. He might space in for this orb. He doesn't. I wonder if he's playing around the Lucio. There's the space.
Nice aim from M2, or from Dizzler to land that M2, and the goo gonna get dropped, but it's not gonna do enough as Bloods goes down to Vague. It's looking like Impact's gonna clean sweep this game.
That was a nice safety goo too to try and protect Iva from the impending Bako chasing her down. Vague has been playing Bako extremely well into this matchup. In cap onto the support. Death to the support, and that leaves boos all alone.
Shing, 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 shing.
That's what he parries right now. No, he's spacing. Impact are going to 5-0 sweep Boys. Playing clean, executing. I like this team comp.
Yeah, absolutely. And Boys, they tried to bring a more North American playstyle, a very aggressive entrance in almost every round from boos, but it kind of led to his downfall. We talked about the difference between European and North American play, and we really see it there, as when boos tried to engage, the Rain of Arrows and the Panic Flask and the barriers from Lucy really always worked out in their favor, and boos, he could just never trade favorably.
He really honestly couldn't, but I still liked watching the maneuverability. I think it's just because people are getting better, but I remember Rygon used to be the thought of like, he's got no space, he can't do anything.
Right.
But him utilizing the M2, utilizing the R recast, you just watch him bounce around like some sort of weird monk.
Yes.
And it's super fun to watch. It's really cool. He just knows his targets. He's like, he's got Bulwark, I go for him. Now he doesn't think I'm going to go for him. I go back for the guy that had bulwark. He won't cast it in time. Then I'm going to E somebody, jump out, and then space back in. And then I've also got the increased distance on M2, so why not? I'm just going to dash this way. It's super fun to watch a Raigon that is really good with mobility.
He also had agility, so he went like full movement build.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for him, though, in that instances. You know, he didn't have that much protection.
He really, and that really comes down to the separation between him and Lucy a lot of times. If he left Lucy for too long, Bako would go punish. And I think it really just turns into Raigon had to go against a Jamong and Lucy on the back line. That's mega sustain. That is if you told me to pick the two best combination to stay next to each other and sustain, it's going to be Jamong and Lucy.
Yeah, absolutely is. The Jumong has a lot of healing inherent to a Seeker's Mark and M1 combo, and Lucy just has one of the higher healing outputs of the healers. Yeah, not a lot of damage you can do to that, and Buse, all of his damage on Raigon is pretty sustained over time. There's not a lot of big damage bursts that are going to come out of Raigon. So the fact that Lucy has so much healing on her M2 and barrier and clarity make it really hard for Raigon to burst through.
Which is the exact opposite of Bako.